Here are 6 ideas to help you in your self-healing journey and help you live a smarter, richer, and more impactful life. The first idea is around doing nothing. So most people, they end up making poor decisions because they feel forced. And this makes you end up in jobs or in relationships or end up in situations that you really don't want to be in. And the reality is, many times you actually don't have to make a decision. And the best way to avoid making bad decisions is by doing nothing. Because even doing nothing is a decision in and of itself. And sometimes it's a very good decision. Another idea I want to share with you is around taking ownership. So your problems will go away when you take ownership. But until you take ownership, the problem is going to continue to persist. Because before you take ownership, you're just blaming everybody else, because ownership requires you to stop blaming. Ownership requires you to stop being a victim and take things into your own hand. Ownership requires you to go through the problem, not around it. Because when you take ownership, there's nobody else to blame but you. You are the one that got yourself into this situation, and only you are going to be able to get yourself out. And when you take ownership, it puts the onus and the power on you, because then you have the ability and you have the control to absolutely change your life. The next idea is a rule for life that I live by, which is always do your best. So no matter what happens, always do your best, always show up as your best. Because most of the self-hate that we feel internally comes from knowing that you could have done more or you could have shown up as your best, but you didn't. But if every single day you give it your best, even when you fail, there's still nothing to regret, because when you show up fully, 100%, you give it your all, regardless of the outcome, your self-respect will follow. Because self-respect is a byproduct of keeping the promises that you make to yourself and others. But so many of us, what we do is we overpromise and we underdeliver, especially to ourselves. And when you don't keep the promises that you make, it slowly chips away the self-respect and it leaves you in an unhappy state with yourself. And so the easiest way to fix this is to stop overcommitting. Do less. Set boundaries, say no instead of always saying yes. Because what this does, it gives you the space to focus on a fewer things, but do those few things really well. And if you stay consistent, your confidence is going to rise, because just as you chipped it away, it's going to chip up. And so you will start trusting in yourself if you just do your best. Here's another idea I want to share, which is becoming aware is the first step. So this week, it was an emotionally draining week for me. I've been doing a lot of active imagination to connect with my unconscious self and really work on integrating my shadow. And I've also been training very hard, both running and in the gym, that I have in months, and my sleep hasn't been the best. And on top of that, my wife and I are going through our fertility journey. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect it to be this emotional. So with everything that's going on, it's been a lot to process. And I've noticed that I was more in a feminine state this week. I was more vulnerable, I was feeling more sensitive, I was more emotional than usual. And what that did was it created some tension between myself and my wife. And we had a few disagreements. Now, for us, the way that we see disagreements is disagreements bring us closer, but they're still very difficult to navigate at times. And what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to stay present and give myself the space to feel what it is that I need to feel. And what helps me the most is simply noticing when I'm in an emotional state and reminding myself that it's absolutely okay. And what I like to do is I like to communicate with everyone around me that I am in this state as well. And just having that awareness helps me stay calmer and not get pulled into being in a reactive state, because sometimes life is going to be overwhelming, right? But that doesn't mean we need to react to everything. So when I notice I'm not grounded, I slow down. I speak carefully. I listen more. I pause before I act. I'm still learning this, but I know this. Awareness is always the first step in healing. So if you're having a stressful or an emotional week, that's completely okay. Just notice it, accept it, and slow down so you can stay grounded throughout the entire process. The next idea that I want to share with you is around overcoming suffering. So I read this quote recently and it hit me really hard. And it's by Helen Keller. So although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of overcoming of it. The Buddha said something similar. Pain is unavoidable, suffering is optional. The thing is, pain is a natural part of life, but suffering is a choice. Suffering is self-imposed. And the truth is, we will always experience pain. That is just a reality. You'll experience pain when you lose someone. You'll experience pain when you lose yourself in a toxic relationship, or you'll experience pain being stuck on a path that you hate, right? Maybe loving someone who doesn't love you back, that's a source of pain. In all of these moments, you still have a choice, even if it doesn't feel like it. You have a choice to move on. You have a choice to heal. You have a choice to learn from it. But what most people do, they dwell on it. They let it consume them. And then they wonder why they feel stuck and unhappy. If pain and suffering are two arrows, what most people do, they walk around with these arrows stuck in their chest, both of them, right? And it doesn't mean you shouldn't feel pain. That's not what I'm saying at all. You need to feel it. You need to feel it fully. So you need to feel something to its emotional depth so you can understand it instead of avoiding it. But so many of us avoid pain, and that makes it harder to let go. When we stay in suffering, we just stay trapped. We're unable to move forward. So this message is for you to give yourself permission to overcome it. Tell yourself that this is just part of life, and believe that this is just a chapter and it's not the whole story. Then pain actually becomes a part of your journey, and you let go of the suffering. Because the beauty isn't in the suffering itself. It's knowing that in order to feel joy, in order to feel love, in order to feel peace, happiness, you must also face sorrow, loss, pain, sadness. You have to feel the pain, but you don't have to let it consume you. Just accept it, confront it, and let it go. The other idea is showing up for yourself first. So we struggle to hold someone else's energy when we haven't learned to hold our own energy. If you don't allow yourself to feel, you can't hold space for someone else to feel. If you've rejected your own intuition, you're going to struggle to trust somebody else's. If you've buried your feminine state and your polarity, you're going to likely reject that in other people as well. That's why relationships are the most powerful teachers. It's something my wife and I are working on right now in our relationship. I tend to stay in a masculine state majority of the time, but I experience my feminine at times when I'm excited or when I'm sad or I experience grief. Right? Because the masculine energy is a container for the feminine energy while it flows within us, right? So think of it like a friend who's excited and who's bouncing off the walls. That's your cue to go into your masculine where you're grounded, you can be calm, you can listen, and you can hold space. Say you feel safe around someone who can hold energy for you, who can hold space, and you're able to relax and you can enter your feminine. So that way you can experience what it is that you need to experience. But to do that for others, you first need to learn how to do it for yourself. When you're anxious or overthinking or you're stuck in a loop, you need to learn the ability and the skill set to step into your own masculine state. That means being the person who can contain and support and guide yourself. Because if you struggle to enter your masculine or switch between masculine and feminine states, it's often due to repression. And what repression needs, it's integration. It means we need to create balance and harmony. It's the shadow that you have repressed, and that state has become part of your shadow. So we must learn to hold space for ourselves in time of stress, emotional reactivity, or overwhelm. And that's the only way that we can learn the skills to show up for others, especially those that we love. So give yourself permission to feel your emotions. Make space to listen to your intuition. And let yourself be vulnerable with yourself for once. And when you do that for you, you can do it for others better, especially your partner and especially your children. And the best way to do this is simple. Just sit back, breathe into your belly, and just observe. Watch your thoughts and emotions as they were objects, like sculptures in a gallery. Walk around them, get curious, try to figure out where they're coming from. What is that emotion? Try to name it if you can. Get as clear as possible. Feel it within your body. Where do you feel the tension? Trace it back to the memory or the trauma that it's stemming from. And slowly and gently relive the memory. Let yourself rewrite it. Go back into that scene and repaint the picture as an adult. Reparent yourself. And if it's too painful, just crack the door open just for a little bit and then come back to safety. Come back to yourself. This is called titration in somatic therapy, where you work through one experience at a time, right? You want to be able to let yourself feel what you once had to repress to stay safe.